Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Man Podcast. My name is Rory Paquette. I know you know that, but I just like to remind myself why, how grateful I am to be sitting here in this chair and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Folks, it's all for you out there. If you're not out there doing everything that you're doing, you're liking, you're sharing, you're subscribing, you're sending me all these awesome TMs, and I will get to all of them. I promise. I respond to everything myself, so don't worry, it's coming. When you do get the answer, boy, be careful what you wish for, because some of your DMs are a little spicy this time around. It's been a lot of fun. Folks, thank you for everything you've done. When we made the move to 5 days, you were there for us. When we made the move to seven, and I thought I was nuts, you folks really, really came through to where our Sunday episodes are some of the best ones that we have out there. So, eternally grateful to all of you and love what you're doing out there. Hey, if you're a friend of the program, and I know you are, then you know what time it is. Time to have a sip of our preferred beverage. Here we go. Oh man, that's good stuff. You guys all know what we're drinking. That's right. It's Freedom Hill Coffee at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram. Look them up, check them out. Deep, dark, rich, bold, and beautiful. Just like my wife. They brew a mean cup of Joe. They do all the right things for all the right reasons. They support veterans, which is a big thing for us here at Power Man Podcast. You guys know that. For all of you veterans out there, including the gentleman I have here on as a guest today, thank you and your families for your service. And we love you. And we're glad that you found a home here with Power Man Podcast. You guys are the heart and soul of what we do. So go check out Freedom Hill Coffee. They support you as well at Freedom Hill Coffee on Instagram, and tell them Power Man sent you. Let me get one more sip of this so I can keep up with this young buck on the other side of the table from me. All right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast 10-year Navy vet, founder of the BattleFitted movement, which I know we're going to hear all about today. He's the host of the Battle Harder podcast, which we're also going to talk about. Please welcome Robert Wheeler. Rob, how you doing today, brother?
Awesome, man. I don't know if I can follow up with that smooth voice you have, man. That's a nice radio podcast voice there, man. I'm impressed.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. I've been working on this since I was 10, trying to talk real low. I wish I could take some credit for it, but this is all God's work, man. So, listen, Robert, we got a lot to unpack, man. You're doing a lot of stuff. Love to hear about what's going on with you. But, hey, to start with, just tell everybody a little bit about who is Robert Wheeler. What are you about? What's your story, brother? And how'd you get to doing what you're doing today?
I mean, I don't know if we have enough time for for all that, but I'll try to break it down as short as the Cliff Notes would, so to speak. So, as you introduced me, 10-year Navy veteran, 17 years total in law enforcement time as a police officer. And after that was actually a strength and conditioning gym owner. I owned my own gym for 4 years. I unfortunately lost that due to COVID.
Mm.
A lot of people lost their small businesses during that crazy time.
Oh, yeah.
Went back into law enforcement at 46, which wasn't a good idea. And just through the trauma that I had from the military, from being a cop the first time, from going through a divorce after 18 years, from losing my business to going back to being a cop, I was not a happy man. I was very angry, frustrated, depressed, just really operated in a very dark, negative light. Didn't really see the sun, so to speak, and just needed something different. So as I started my own journey of trying to get out of this stuff that I have, these mental health issues, I realized that, man, my purpose is helping other men, typically 30 and over, get unstuck, whether that's with their finances, whether it's with their relationship, being a better father, being a better man, and just trying to have this movement of tough, strong men again in society that can lead and make change and be there for their kids and be the kind of man that essentially I want my kids to see me as. And that kind of, I feel like I have I guess, old fashioned way of thinking of what a man is, so to speak. So trying to get men to get out of this, I guess, new way of thinking of being soft and not really caring about much in life, just kind of mucking about and have that passion again and that strength and that power.
Yeah, I love everything you just said. I mean, you and I are very kindred spirits in that way. Let me ask you this. Was it the COVID and the aftermath of COVID, that whole movement of masculinity is like evil and trying to soften us all up? Is that kind of what motivated you, or was there something else through maybe law enforcement or your service?
No, I mean, it's a culmination of everything, right? So I am diagnosed with PTSD, with major depressive disorder, with anxiety, and I was letting those things define me. I was letting those things be who I was. And I wasn't happy. Like I was just, I had suicide, ideations. I had the dark thoughts. And I realized one day that while my mental health issues are probably never going to go away, it's just that's what they are. I could do things to combat them and be better. And when COVID came, I really didn't think too much about it because I had my own, I guess, way of thinking of how I felt about COVID and taking vaccines and all that stuff. But as I talk to people on my podcast, I didn't even think about this. I've spoken to people that were in abusive relationships during COVID and they couldn't go anywhere. Like they were literally stuck in the house with their abuser.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking about that, the amount of mental health issues that COVID possibly created just from situations like that, and then people like me who lost their business or people that just couldn't get along or maybe single mothers, single fathers, like COVID really wrecked a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's something people don't think about that often. Um, in terms of the aftermath of COVID.
Right.
Everybody's like, "Oh, what was the big deal?" You hunker down for a little while. It was a huge deal to a lot of folks, and that's a very big deal. First of all, power to you for powering through everything that you're dealing with there, man. I know that's not easy, what you're dealing with, but you certainly have a great mindset about it. So, how long ago were you like, quote, diagnosed with all this stuff?
I mean, it's been years now. I'm what's considered a 100% disabled veteran
Wow.
because of my injuries, because of my mental health issues, because of everything I went through in the military. Um, I mean, I've been on medication. I've spoken to therapists. I've done just about everything to try to not be dark all the time or negative all the time. And there's a lot of things that I feel like therapy and now I'll never downplay mental health. So I'll never downplay mental health therapists. I'll never downplay medication. If it works for you, do what works for you. But I think there's other options that aren't being explored, and that's fitness, personal development, things that I do that I coach from because it helped me, because I know from personal experience what I've been through, how these things can actually start to change your, as you said, mindset, which is the most powerful thing, and then the emotional regulation that causes us to have those what I call adult temper tantrums where we lose our stuff and we can't control our emotions.
Right. Let's talk about that then. Your coaching program that you have. That's the BattleFitted program, right?
Yes. So when I take a group of men, I either do one-on-one coaching or men's small group. It's called Operation Relentless. And basically, it's built to, like I said, help men figure out whatever it is where they're stuck. It could be, I need a new job. I want to start a business. I can't control my emotions. I don't know how to deal with my ex-wife. Just everything in that realm of building a better, stronger foundational man so they can conquer those hard issues that we face in life.
Interesting. Interesting. Let me ask you this, a little off the cuff, but just because you brought this up and I've had some thinking on this topic recently myself. Do you find it that are you finding more men are having problems with um finding out where it is they're stuck, or once they find out where they're stuck, finding out what to do about being stuck? Is there one that's harder than the other, or are you just dealing with both?
I typically deal with both, but I think the first one is the most important because a lot of times we get stuck, and this is why I deal with typically men over 30, because they're already kind of set in their life, right? They already have that job that maybe they just hate that job and they go there regardless. Maybe they're, in that tough marriage and they don't know if they can get out or how to get out. And this is coming from a guy that stayed married miserably for 18 years because I thought I was going to be there for the kids and that wasn't the right answer. So I think a lot of times we just get stuck in that rat race, that rut of this is my life and this is what I have to do. And that's not the right answer. We can do whatever we want. That's, we have one life. God gave us this gift of free will to go out there and create and build and do these amazing things. And is just trying to, once again, getting guys to get out of that mindset of I'm stuck and this is what I have to do.
Right. I love that. I can't disagree with that at all. Um, the the idea that we're stuck, I find that a lot with the guys I talk to. I'm sure you do too. And it's one of the first things you said just now. So, um, is it the job? Is it the marriage? I mean, is it the combination of all of it? What are you finding that makes us feel stuck the most?
I think the biggest thing for anybody, but especially men,
Hmm?
if you don't have a lack of purpose, we're just so destined internally to have this purpose, right? This purpose that's bigger than ourselves. Whether that's maybe someone wants to be a professional fighter, or they want to be an actor, and we get bogged down with our parents and society and people. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Social media, you can't do that. And so we never get out of our own heads or out of our own way, and we get stuck and we don't take those risks or those chances. Before you know it, you're 60, 70 years old, and you're like, what did I do with my life?
Right. The program that you run then, this is kind of how this is sort of designed through fitness, through, these other things you talked about to help men rediscover purpose.
Great. So my three pillars is fitness, mindset, and discipline. So when I say fitness, I look at the totality of a person's, from their nutrition, what they're eating, what kind of activity they do, how do they think about themselves, how do they see themselves, when they like what they see when they look in the mirror. And I truly believe that, fitness, health is wealth. Like if you're not starting there, if you're not working out at all or doing any form of like walking or anything, then it's very hard for me to tell you, okay, well, I need you to do this or I need you to do that, because you're not taking care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't grow into the person. Then this is for men and women. You can't grow into the person you need to be if you can't love yourself and take care of yourself first. Then the mindset, giving them tools like what works for me, gratitude. Practicing gratitude is very important. Journaling to write down, maybe what's triggering us, or emotional control, or our thoughts. And then the discipline, because at the end of the day, I don't want to work with my clients forever. I want them to be able to take what I give them and be able to move forward. So that's the essential three pillars of my coaching.
Nice. Nice. You mentioned this. I thought I saw something too where I was doing some research, getting ready for this interview with you. Do you also coach women?
I mean, I will coach literally anybody if they want my help. I
Sure.
prefer to work with men and then veterans and first responders. But if a woman, the thing is with, I'm not anti-woman, but a lot of women think, just from who I am, how I act, that like I'm this big tough meanie, and I'm not. I'm the nicest guy. Like people that talk to me, they're like, holy shit, like this guy is not, he's not mean. He's not out to hurt me or angry. It's my perception. But yes, I work with literally anybody that wants my help. So
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, I mean, anybody in our space, anybody who opens up with the word masculinity in any way, shape, or form, you automatically get a bad rap. So I totally understand the perception, issue. But that's unique in our space too, working with both. How do you find you have to sort of change your coaching for who it is you're coaching if it's not like just, men in that age group?
I mean, typically I don't, as long as I give them I guess the pep talk or the speech that say, hey, like if I'm tough on you, it's, first of all, I'm very respectful of everybody. Even when I have guests on my show, we talk about their pain points, and I ask them, like, is there anything that you're just not going to want to talk about? Because I don't want to make people uncomfortable. So it's kind of in the same realm with the coaching. If I'm dealing with someone that may need a little bit softer touch, they're going to get that from, hey, look, like if I'm do something to upset you, or if I say something in a way that makes you upset or angry, just tell, like, communication is key. Just talk to me and then I can adjust from there. But typically what you see is what you get. Coach Rob is Coach Rob, and I'm not going to change that for anybody because that's who I am. And even when I owned a gym, My women clientele loved who Coach Rob was because I was the guy that was pushing them and that was getting them to do the things that they didn't think they could do. And it wasn't from just being like, I don't yell at people, I don't curse at people, it's just being stern, right? Being that man and being that leader and saying, look, I want you to do this. I can't. We don't say I can't here. We say I can. You try it. If you can't do it, then we adjust from there. So it's just a matter of how I communicate with people.
Nice. Nice. The BattleFitted movement. I understand that it's coaching. I understand you do one-on-one and you do group. What's the makeup for somebody? Is it like a time frame? Is it multiple times per week? Is it in person or online? If I said, "Hey, tell me about your coaching program, Rob, I might be interested in it." What what does it involve for me so that the folks who are hearing this that, already like you are going, "All right, how do I work with this guy?"
So, both the small group, which I typically only take 6 to 10 people max because I like to keep it intimate, that's going to be for the people, like, even especially people that love community, that want that person to have accountability because we match people up with each other and then they can kind of, be responsible for themselves. Building that community of men that can actually like talk to each other and say, look, I'm not doing well today and this is why. And that person's not going to judge them. And then the one-on-one coaching is 100% me all the time. You get a little more with the 100% one-on-one coaching, but that's because you're investing, in me full time. But they're both 90 days. So I go 90 days out for both groups, whether it's small. I think that's about the best. It gives me just enough time to get them to shift their perspective. And then if they feel they need more after that, then of course anybody can always do more. But most of the time, 90 days is good enough to get people to change how they eat, how they exercise, how they think, and do all those things. So one on one, you get like text messages from me. You get me calling you and saying, hey, get up, go to the gym. Group is more meeting through Zoom or through my online community and talking throughout there. But both the material that you get from both sides of the house is the same. So it just depends if you want to be me and you or me, you, and 8 other men.
Nice. You mentioned your online community. Tell us about that.
So just typically, my biggest platform right now is Instagram with just over 6,000 followers. Um, but my online community is just basically we meet on Zoom. We'll meet once a week or twice a week, depending on the group and the group requirements. And we just open up first with, I just let guys vent and let them talk and, what's bothering them. And then after that, we can talk as a community, as a group to solve each other's problems. Because while I'm the coach, someone may have a better idea than me, and that's okay. As long as we're helping each other and we're serving each other, that's what matters. I want, as I get older, and maybe you can attest to this, it's hard to make friends. I don't have that many friends. And as men, we say we don't want to have friends, but we need friends and we need community and we need brothers and we need people we can rely on other than our wife or our kids. So we can have that connection and that's what I try to build mainly in the small group focus is that connection.
Yeah, that is some hard-hitting stuff right there. That's not even a lie. It is incredibly tough for guys to have friends right now because you are either taking care of your responsibilities or you're not. And, in the middle of taking care of your responsibilities, as hard as that has become in today's world, there's not a lot of time left for like the bowling night, or the
Yeah,
softball
definitely.
league, you know. Most of us are out there, either working two jobs or side hustling or, extra hours or something, just trying to like make it, in this world. So that's a very, very true statement. Um, but it also seems to be like just kind of normal, that I mean, if your friend group is online and you don't actually have in-person friends, that used to be weird. Now
Yeah,
it's status quo. I mean, it's almost like
exactly.
that's more normal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have so put it this way, like I'm a big kid, man. I'm probably one of the biggest kids in the universe. I play video games all the time. I play video games with my son when I have him. He's 13. I have a group of friends that we've met for dinner, once, maybe once a year if we're lucky. We'll meet for dinner and we'll hang out for a little bit. But we've played games for years, for years online, talking to each other, talking crap to each other, asking how life's been. So it's weird, like, to shift to this online platform, but at the same time, just like talking to you or doing my podcast, the reach is amazing. The amount of people that you can reach.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a joke. I would have guessed that about you just because you've got quite the lineup of collectibles behind you, brother. You want to address that for anybody who's watching the video? What
So
do you,
I,
what do you got
I
up there? It looks like valuable stuff.
so if anybody hears this and they know this is like how nerd I am, there's things called six scale figures. So Hot Toys is the company. They make what's called six scale figures. They retail anywhere from 250 up to $400, depending on what you want, what you have. And I have a case full of Iron Man to my left. I have statues, like all kinds of stuff. And what's even crazier, this is just the room where I do my show, my office, where me and my son hang out. My downstairs is completely Star Warsed out, and the wife's okay with it. So
Ah,
I have the same thing downstairs, but just Star Wars. So
gotcha. All right. I wondered what your discipline was because I mean, there's lots of us that consider ourselves geeks, but then we all have sort of a category where
I
we
am
really geek in.
top tier nerd, man, top tier nerd. So
Nice. Nice, man. All right. I wish I would have known that. I'd have prepared a little quiz for you. I may have to do that at the end, just impromptu. We'll see. We'll see. But all right, man. I love that. So that's the battle fitted program that you've got out there that you're working on right now. The podcast. How long have you been doing the podcast?
so the podcast, it's been in inception for, I would say, just about a year, but the first portion of that podcast was a lot of videos of me just speaking by myself and what I felt was ranting and raving and just kind of complaining about the negative Rob of I hate this, I hate that. So officially, I'll probably say, I don't know, 6 to 8 months when I started actually taking guests and starting to more lock in on doing this podcast and what I kind of wanted to try to get out of it. So
Nice. Okay. And what is it you are trying to get out of it? I've listened to your podcast, so I know the episodes you're talking about at the very beginning, because I always go back and listen a little at the beginning, a little in the middle, a little at the end, just to get an idea of the progression, of what someone's doing. But yeah, what is the purpose of the podcast from your standpoint?
So it's multifaceted. The first purpose, one thing that I always think about when I'm doing this, if we go back to like way, way, way before, talking about Roman times, before TV, people told stories, right? That's how you got your information. That's how you learned things. And I just really view myself as this storyteller of wanting to tell people stories that they almost quit, as far as they almost quit life and they almost gave up, and all these bad things happen to them. And it's almost like therapy to me, because a lot of times guests I have, there's stuff that happened 20, 30, 50 times worse than what's happened to me, and I'm just like, man, and if they can make it, why can't I make it? So it's telling these stories, that hoping that whoever listens, if they resonate with that guest, they'll reach out. If they resonate with what I'm saying, they'll reach out to me. So it does help, coaching on the back end. It does help support the brand on the back end. My goal, big goal, is I would love to be the veteran version of Joe Rogan. I would love to be the veteran Joe Rogan. I would love to have the number one personal development podcast across all platforms. So that's my big goal, and just being able to get bigger and bigger and bigger guests as the show goes on and grows. So
Nice. That great, good goal to have. So you bring guests on, and the
yes.
guests that you bring on, how do you decide who's coming on, and what are you looking for out of your guests when you bring them on?
So when I bring a guest on, basically I have a pre-interview with them. I vet every guest before they come on my show. I don't typically talk. And I don't know if you get this too. I hate when I get like a publicist is like, "Oh, would you consider having John on the show?" And I'm like, I don't talk to agents. I don't talk to publicists. If this person wants to be on my show, I have to talk to them in person. And the first thing that I asked them now, which it didn't start in the infancy, was, are you coming on because you want to tell a story, or are you just trying to sell something? Because like even here, if you didn't even ask me about my coaching or anything, I don't care. As long as I can talk about how I overcame my mental health issues, how I help people, that's what's more important to me. So I want to make sure that the guests that I vet, that they have a real story to tell. And as I guess creepy as it sounds, the darker the better. Like the
Mm.
worst stuff that they, and it's not that I'm happy for them for going through this bad stuff, but the worst stuff that they're willing to talk about and open up about, the better. And I've had breakthroughs where guests have even said like, I wasn't going to talk about this, and somehow you just brought it out of me. So like that right there is just so amazing to me that people get to tell these stories.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that you look at it that way. That's amazing. I know what you mean about the promoters too. That's that's always a treat. Um, yeah, we get the guy who just spams everybody, everything, and he doesn't even read your description on your stuff. Just here you go, sends it to everyone. So no, I hear you. The you brought up a good point, in terms of getting over your own issues like that. Did you use parts of your BattleFitted program in order to do that? And is that where the BattleFitted program comes from? Is your own personal experience?
Yes, definitely. So fitness was always a priority in my life. That when most military members get out of the military, they actually give up on their fitness, and I really don't understand why or that decision to give up. The kind of crazy thing, which I guess a lot of non-military people don't realize, is that when we get out of the military, we lose everything overnight. We lose our identity, we lose our job, we lose our community. Essentially, you lose your pay. Like everything's just stripped. So you spend all this time, for me, 10 years being told what to do, being given everything, housing if you need it, money to cover your bills and your expenses for the most part, opportunities, different jobs, different things you can do, different places you can see, and then they don't really tell you much when you get out. They're just like, okay, you're done. Bye. Have a nice life. No one checks on you. The people that you used to work with, they just kind of turn their back on you. So for veterans, and it's scary because you're like, damn, now what? And most of the time, whatever you did in the military, because that's the easiest thing to transition to, you go do that as a job. For me, I had all this trauma, and then I was a cop, so I go be a cop, and then I put more trauma on that. And so I'm stacking trauma on trauma on trauma, which at the time I'm not thinking, oh, I have PTSD or I'm depressed or whatever. It was literally my ex-wife, like us arguing and fighting all the time, and she's like, there's something wrong with you. And obviously that wasn't the right thing to say, because I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me, and that creates more arguments. But so
Yeah.
yes, definitely the coaching. When I got out of the Navy, I got really depressed. I was overweight to almost 300 pounds. I was probably like 38% body fat, just miserable. And I had to have a turning point. So I didn't think at first, I was like, oh, well, my injuries, I have knee injuries, back injuries, all that good stuff from the military. But I had to find a way. So before I really knew anything about fitness, I remember going to Planet Fitness. They were brand new in its infancy during this time. I signed up for the $10 a month, and I would literally just go to the gym every day, treadmill for 30 minutes, elliptical for 30 minutes, and then bicycle for 30 minutes, and then bounce. And like it was the most horrible, not very smart thing to do, but just doing that every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, I started to finally lose weight. And then I met the right people who are like, well, you need to start lifting weights now. Started learning how to get back into fitness, how to eat properly, how to exercise properly. And that would lead pretty much me dedicating myself to fitness for a very long time, before I got certified as a personal trainer, before I opened the gym. And then the silliest thing is, and I tell people I don't really have a aha moment where something snapped and I was better. Like I didn't crash a car or go to jail or anything crazy. I was doom scrolling on social media. I'm just scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. And somebody had spoke and talked about practicing gratitude. And I laughed. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm just going to say I'm thankful for this, and I'm going to feel better. And what's funny is I tell people all the time, the simplest things, like we get too complicated on stuff, the simplest things actually work. So I went to bed that night. and I thought of three things that I was thankful for. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my house, and I'm thankful for my dog. And then I just did that over and over again and over and over again. And then on top of that, every morning I woke up because I learned that every time I was negative, right? Every time I said life sucks, every time I said I hate this, I hate that, bad things would happen. And so I was like, well, what if I just say today's going to be a good day? So I would literally go to bed, say I'm thankful for this, get up, say it's going to be a good day. Now initially I'd have to say that like every day, 5 minutes a day, like it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. I'm in my car. It's going to be a good day going to the gym. It's going to be a good day. But after a while, like I realized I was like, man, I have a lot to be thankful. Why am I upset all the time? Why am I getting angry because someone's cutting me off? Why am I getting angry because a waitress messed up my order? Why am I getting angry because my ex-wife texted me and I didn't like what she said to me? So that's where I started to learn like deep dive into personal development and emotional regulation and realizing that we only have so much energy in a day, right? Just like we only have so much time in a day. So why am I going to put energy into being miserable? Why am I going to put energy into flipping off a guy and chasing him down the street because he cut me off because he's in a rush? So I started to like learn like, okay, dude cuts me off, take a deep breath, calm down, you're fine, continue about your day. And I started to be able to regulate my emotions better. And that caused a world of difference. Those three things right there in my life. Like, and my mental health issues, I still have bad days. I'm going to have bad days. It's just, I have some sort of chemical imbalance in my brain. It is what it is, but I stack more good days than bad. And that's the point, is just to be 1% better every day. And that's everything that I teach. And if you can just figure out that way to, as soon as you start to feel like I'm depressed, to switch and say, I'm okay. Look at this house I have. Look at this, my wife that loves me. I get to go to the gym. Like, I don't say anymore, I have to, right? Words are important. I say, I get to go to the gym. I get to come home to my wife. I get to see my son. There's no more, I have to, I must. How we speak to ourselves speaks volumes. And all those things kind of change my life. And that's what now I give back as far as my coaching is teaching these people these simple things that could have a world of difference in their life.
Wow, man. I mean, you unpacked a lot right there. That's beautiful. And I love that you're literally preaching what you've practiced. This is you lived this program. So, that's where programs get their biggest credibility from, is when you've actually been through it. And that's powerful, man. That really is. Power to you for all the work you had to do to get there, because that was not easy. I know.
I'm still working every day. It's a never ending battle, right? You have to. It's every day.
Yeah. And you have I mean, you practiced catching yourself when you were having those thoughts and stuff. I mean, that's self-discipline that you're talking about right there.
I mean, I still have to do it to. And look, it's not perfect. I mean, there's
Sure.
days where I still catch myself throwing that adult temper tantrum, but it's few and far between. And I really do try to look at how I talk to people, how I carry myself in public, how I speak in general to my wife, how I speak to my kids, and just you have to be aware that if you can be self-aware, and I'm going to date myself, but we have too many people stuck in the matrix, right? We have too many
Mhm.
people that's just going through life mucking about. They're in their phones, they're not paying attention to their situational awareness. They're just there. And I feel awake. I feel like I'm unplugged, and now I'm trying to help other people unplug.
Yeah, that's true. Too many people walking around just taking that blue pill and chilling. So, yeah, 100%. Let me ask you this. I mean, it's a heck of a story. It really is. And it's amazing what you've been through. If you can look back and say, all right, from when I was, the heavy guy, unmotivated, just trying something, and I'm on the treadmill and the stair stepper, or the elliptical rather, that guy there, to the guy you are now, around how long of a time period are you talking about? First of all, that's the first question.
Well, you're talking about I got out in 2007 and was overweight about 2000. It took me literally like the 18 years of my first marriage, and I've been married to my wife now for 1 year, but we've been together for 8 years. So the 8 years being with her to realize that I couldn't continue down the path that I was on, because the divorce was amazing for letting me recognize that now that I'm with this other woman, that we have such a different dynamic, different relationship, different love. I didn't want to lose that. And while I always say it takes two, and obviously there's things my ex-wife did, I'll always take 60% of the responsibility and say it was because of my mental health issues. It was because of how I behaved. I'm good with that. But I'm not going to do that to this marriage, to this relationship that I'm in. So you have to not necessarily have a breaking point, but you have to really think and have that I can't act this way anymore, because it's not going to get me anything other than it's already got me. It's been sadness and despair.
Wow. Yeah. All right. You may have just answered the question then, but you're talking about a long period of time then, that you were working on this. And I mean, that's awesome. But what what got you through that? I mean, what do you hang on to? What motivates you, other than just wanting to be better? What gets you through those dark days when you're doing that kind of a transformation on yourself?
Purely mindset and discipline. That I am not motivate. I am not a motivational guy. I am not a motivational speaker. I am just disciplined. I have non-negotiables in my life, like going to the gym. One of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm doing 25-minute episodes now on personal development and giving people they're short episodes, 15 to 20 minutes, giving people the tools how to help themselves. And building those healthy habits was my second episode of this series, because we can build bad habits all day long, but when you go to bed at night and you brush your teeth, you don't say, "Oh my gosh, I get to brush my teeth." It's just something that happens. It's something you just do, right?
Right.
So you have to build these things. Going to the gym, I'm going to write down. Time blocking is huge for me. Okay, and it's crazy to have to be on a set schedule, but that's what works for me. So 8 to 9 gym, 9 to 10 first meal. If I can see it and I can block that out and I can stick to that, it's that discipline and mindset. I am never motivated to do much. So
Wow. All right. Discipline, mindset, non-negotiables. Speak to the non-negotiable thing just for a minute, because I've used that phrase before too, and I know what it means to me. There's a lot of guys though, they'll say, "Oh, this is a non-negotiable," right? But then inevitably we don't do it at some point. What does non-negotiable mean to you when you're saying that, especially to yourself, but also to other men that you're coaching?
it's just those healthy habits that I'm not going to break. That I'm it's so like the core values of the Navy is honor, courage, and commitment, right? It's making those non-negotiables things that you're going to have as your core values. And it can be as simple as I'm going to make sure that whenever I talk to my 13-year-old son, I'm going to end the conversation with "I love you." And you do it every time, and you keep doing it, you keep doing it. And then eventually, after, sometimes it could be a month, sometimes it may be 6 months, it just becomes automatic. There's multiple days where I don't want to go to the gym. And if it's a very, very bad day, or I'm injured, or I'm sick, I don't have to go to the gym for one day. It's not going to kill me. But I guarantee you that out of the 7 days, 5 of the days, I'm always in the gym regardless. I don't care if it's snowing. I don't care if Godzilla is walking in the city. I'm getting to that gym. And if I can't get to that gym, I'll at least go walk around the block. And if I can't walk around the block, I'll get on my treadmill. If I can't get on my treadmill, I'll do push ups, sit, whatever. Like, it's finding a way to accomplish that goal no matter what, and sticking to that no matter what.
Nice. Love that, brother. Really do. All right. So then the Battle Harder podcast is also encouraging guys through other people's stories. Um, is it like a reach out to them to say, "Hey, these people overcame this stuff. You can too." That type of thing. Do you use it as a marketing arm? How do you use that podcast with what you're doing?
I haven't really marketed from it yet. I'd like to use it as a marketing arm. That's one thing with calls, CTAs, call to actions, and things I gotta get better on. But that's eventually, that's inevitably what I hope is that, yeah, the person that maybe unfortunately, maybe they're on their last leg and they're like, I can't do this. And somehow they stumble across one of my episodes, or someone says, hey, I listened to this. Um, my wife has a friend, and he's literally listened to every episode since the infancy, and he does not miss an episode. And, just those people that, even if it makes them feel better, like I would hope that people don't like get off or happy on other people's plight, so to speak. But if they listen to it, like I said, and said, man, my life's not that bad, and it gives them kind of that reality check, then it's done its job. It's just really, literally, like, even I had a woman who she had an emotional eating disorder, and now she coaches women on how to overcome those emotional eating disorders. So if someone has that and they resonate with her, they can go right to the show notes, figure out how to contact her, link up with her, and maybe they'll overcome that issue. So it's just providing these different subject matter experts, coaches, teachers, cops, veterans, people that just they were on that last leg, and now they're giving back to the community. They're doing better. They have that service mindset, or even they became millionaires or grown businesses or whatever, all from that plight of that darkness of, I don't think I can, but I know I have to.
Nice. Nice. Wow, man. All right. Anything I haven't asked you about the program that you want to make sure you get out there? This is not your last question. I just want to make sure that there isn't anything about the program that I'm missing that you want to make sure you tell somebody about.
No, I mean, we're good. If anybody's interested with working with me, you can either just DM me through Instagram, or if you go to my website, battlefittedbrand.com, you can schedule a consultation with me. Every call, it's free. It's not going to cost you anything. I'm not going to give you some sleazy sales pitch. I'm just going to try to ask you the right questions to see if you're a good fit to work with me. And not everybody's a good fit, and that's fine. And if you're not a good fit, I still have free resources that I usually give to those people, whether they can't afford it, whether they maybe they say they have to wait, or I have to ask my wife. I still have free journals, free books, free things that I give to them to help my community out, because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do.
Nice. Nice. All right. All that will be in the show notes for sure. And then you said you were big on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
It's literally everything at BattleFitted. So besides the YouTube, which is, well, the YouTube's at BattleFitted as well. The show's just Battle Harder. So literally everywhere, if you just type in BattleFitted one word, you'll find my ugly mug on there somewhere. So
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right, man. I love it. I mean, I love what you're doing. I really do. It's incredibly refreshing to have a masculinity expert that I'm talking to who's actually masculine. I really like that. It really helps, and it's great to talk to somebody who believes in those things. So, you've got. Let's see. Um, is I'm just going to go ahead and throw it to you here. As we kind of bring this, to a close, it's just in terms of time and whatnot. I want to make sure that number one, again, there isn't anything that I didn't ask you. If there's anything that I asked you, we talked about that you want to drive home, really hard with somebody, or maybe there's a leave behind, maybe a word of advice, some final nugget, anything you want to leave with the audience, because we have a lot of guys who are listening to what you're saying right now, are probably nodding their heads, and they're wondering, is this right for me? Is this a good fit? That type of thing. What do you have to say to them as we kind of wrap things up today?
so the first thing that I would say is that if you're not okay, regardless of where it is in your life, it doesn't have to be mental health. It can be your fitness, it could be your relationship. That's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It doesn't make you broken. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad man. But if there's something internally like dragging on those heartstrings that say, I know I need to be better, I know I need to do better, then get help. Because even coaches, I have coaches that I lean on to, even coaches need coaches. It's okay to ask for help. And I want to say this, when I talk about being a man and being powerful and being masculine, I'm vulnerable too. Okay. I don't want you guys to think that a man can't cry, a man can't be upset, a man can't be sad, especially if you have mental health issues. Sometimes it's hard, but you have to lean on those people, your parents, your family, your wife, your friends that actually support you and know you 100% you. Being a badass man or a masculine man. It's being vulnerable. It's being in some kind of decent shape. It's carrying yourself with a certain type of attitude. And I don't mean like being big, mean, and ugly, but having that presence in society, being aware of your surroundings. There's an interesting thing that I saw before that multiple people who have kidnapped kids, okay, which is a very scary thing, especially for a lot of us that have kids, said that if they saw a man that looked soft and fluffy and weak, that's the kids they would target. So you owe it to your family and yourself to be what they call hard to kill, some kind of decent shape. If you don't want to, learn how to shoot a gun, learn some sort of martial arts, fighting style, boxing, something, you have to be dangerous in today's society. And it's not to be used and other than the protection and preservation of your life and your family's life. So that's what I mean by being masculine. I can be vulnerable. If my son upsets me and I cry, I can cry. If I'm proud, I can cry and say, I love you. I'm happy. It's telling the people I love that I love them, telling even my best friend, bro, I love you. I hope you're good. That's what a masculine man is. So I want people to get out of their heads that we think we have to, I'm not going to talk about my feelings. And if my wife says, babe, is everything all right? I'm fine when you're not fine. So being vulnerable is huge and part of masculinity.
Nice. Great way to wrap us up, brother. And really, really good nuggets and leave behinds for everybody else. So you gave us your contact info. Is the best way to go to the website, or is it to hit you on Instagram?
Either or, so Instagram is my biggest platform. That's where I do answer the most DMs, but you can literally get in contact with me anyway through battlefittedbrand.com. So
Nice. All right. You got an email through there that can reach you that way?
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All right, man. Robert Wheeler, Navy vet, former law enforcement, host of the Battle Harder podcast and founder of the Battle Fitted movement. Rob, thank you, man, for coming on, for sharing your story, and for encouraging all these guys out here that there's hope for them too, and giving them a place to go, man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate being here. It was a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Uh, Gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Power of Man podcast. And the reason we bring such powerful men on here with such powerful messages is because we are united in you regaining your power to be a better protector, better provider, better leader tomorrow than you are today, to be a better father, a better husband, a better man tomorrow than you are today. And the reason that we want that for you is because you have value, because you matter, and because you're worth it. And gentlemen, at some point, you just have to believe it. Until next time.